yeah, it's a really, in the country as a whole, it's a really big tourist attraction. So it has to say a lot about the scenery, like the environment. But like for it's I can't, like, no one can say that it's not beautiful. The country is beautiful. But like I say, the basic life from what I saw during my mission of a regular Papua New Guinea person is it varies. People in the city, from what I see, because I served both in the city and in the bush, the countryside, and so I saw it was very different from what I saw. The people in the city, it was either there was these parts of the city where it was basically kind of like the suburbs, I guess, like neighborhoods where you would people like the working class, basically people who had an education, they they work to live where they are. So it's kind of like not really like the houses that we live in today, but not saying like they're huts. They're nice houses, but they're just a bit more humble. But those are only the working class people in the city. Regular day for them would be waking up, just going to work, coming back, dinner, with family. The kids would go to school, come back, But it's really, really busy over there. You would never. It's hard to see an empty street on one of the main roads. There's buses everywhere. The transportation is these coaster buses that people would. There is no such thing as a maximum capacity limit. There's be people hanging out the sides. As it's literally as much people as you can fit inside. People would be basically sitting on top of each other. As long as the bus crews, get the money. But and that's what we would use as transportation as missionaries as well. Those people, they would usually come back home to like people who have money. They would maybe go buy an oxen palm or corned beef from the store, or your rice, or a frozen chicken or something like that. And that's people of the working class. Most of the other people, not most of them, but people in the settlements that we would say. The settlements, some people would say the ghettos or the slums, but over there they would just call it settlements. And so it's really, really different from housing from the working class people. So the working class people, their housing is like, concrete with actually, foundation. But where the settlements are, it's just how, we understand how settlements, are. You build your house by yourself, basically. And these people, the ingenuity is real over there. They find whatever they can find to build a house, with scraps of copper, fiberglass, plywood, anything to have a four-corner place to, a roof over the head. Like literally, just anything, a roof over the head for them to sleep with their kids. They would, and especially those people in the settlements, the water, they wouldn't have running water in each of their house like we have today. Mostly it will all be, in the spigot, like a spout, like maybe one for every like 10 houses. It would be just in one place, and then all these people, they would come with buckets, and that would be there to fill them up, and they would do that, occasionally, and that would be their water for drinking, washing the plates, cooking, washing themselves, laundry, everything that we need water today. But for them, it's they get it bucket by bucket. When it's finished, they go back and get it again, bucket by bucket. And so it was a really hard lifestyle that for the first time that I seen that, it humbled me too. Kind of had me to not take things for granted. People over there, food is sometimes hard to come by. You would see kids, but at the same time, these people, they're not lazy. When they're hungry, they go out. They don't just sit around. There'll always be people like that, just sit around and beg for money and everywhere. But for the most part, they would go out and find themselves food. Either they would go fishing in a pond or something, or close to the beach, or they would go to the market, and the little money that they had, they would go buy fish or some kind of meat or vegetables, or they would say kumu. And so the thing over there is everyone eats, everyone has a fit body because they eat right all the time. So vegetables, garden food is like a big part of their lifestyle, and it's more than they eat that more than than actually the meat or abus. That was usually which is hard to come by sometimes for a lot of people. I really liked serving or going around in the settlements because it was a lot easier to talk to people. At the same time, other like members, other people, they always warned us not to go around in some areas of the settlements because, like I said, other people would say ghetto or the slums because of some it's gonna be same factors in those places like in any other settlement or slum or something in any other part of the world. Um, but that's the city life. But the people in the countryside or the bush, they live really laid back lifestyle. It's really nice. They're never short on food, never short on water. Even though it's a really hard life, you have to literally like bust your back in order to feed yourself and your family. But it's the way they provide for themselves is really nice. Everything that they make out of their house is from the bush or from the jungle. Their houses they make from bush material. How they get their food, they use bow and arrows. I'm not speaking for all of most of the country, but just from one of the areas that I served, a place called Suki, which is a really remote part that we had to get there by boat. And these people they travel by canoes. They stand up and they paddle all day. Sometimes they would paddle, miles down the river just to go garden or just to go cultivate their garden or harvest or to go hunt with the boys, and then they would come back, and that's their regular day. They work, they come back, they eat, they sleep, they get up again, and they work again. It was a really hardworking people, and you could really tell from their physique. Like everyone out there is they're like all buff, all like ripped, and so But it's a really like I said before, how it's a people it seems like they don't have anything, but at the same time they have everything, like a lot. Like the first like actual genuine like smiles and laughs from children that I've seen in my life was from those areas, like these little villages. And so people, it's not as different from the city as terms as people, they wake up, they want to provide for their family the way that they can, the best they can, and they come back, eat dinner with their family, sleep the next day, same thing. But for these people in the bush, in this village that I served in for a while, Suki, it's a really beautiful people. They're really humble, humble people. Their lifestyle, everything is like 100% organic, healthy for you. It's really nice. They participate in sports all the time, extracurricular activities. It's like a good vibe when I was there. And I was there for a while, maybe 5-6 months, I think. Yeah, 6 months. But the whole time I was there, I was just happy. There was times where I felt like I wanted to go back to the city because out of shortage of food, or I got sick, or like boils all in my legs or something from the bugs, or because it was cold and wet we were just out in the boat and we were just trying to get back home. But overall, just I envy the people there sometimes, especially when I was there. The buses that I was talking about a while, that they can travel all over the city, or you can go to the smaller villages or further towns or stations like hours away using the highway. Usually those would cost like around the city it would be 50 toya, which is cents, to 1 kina, which is a dollar. And so you would just hop on the bus fare, the offside of the bus, the person collecting the bus fare, just wiggles the coin, bus fare, and then people would just, pass up their money, and then he would give them back their change. And then when you wanted to get off, you just got off. But like the taxis, they cost a bit more, maybe like 20 kina or 10 kina. So people actually have money, they didn't want to walk to a bus stop, they got on those. Apartments, I'm not really too sure, but it was really, really expensive. I know the ones that the missionaries were able to stay in the city, they were really, they were nice apartments, and I knew that they weren't cheap. They were apartments inside of compounds, and so yeah, I'll tell you, it's not cheap though. I'm not really too sure exactly how much money, but it's not cheap at all. So their currency is they say kina, and so U.S. dollars is, so for example, if I took $100 bill U.S. from here, and then I went over there, I wanted to exchange that in kina, Papua New Guinea kina, that would be 300 kina, basically. And so, the shopping there is done in the city. It's, they have, not as many stores, not as we have, but, their own versions. The famous one is Stop and Shop, I guess. That's like, your regular grocery, food mart out here. That's like their version of a Walmart, basically. Stop and Shop. And that's what people, usually go to. And then for like fast food restaurants, there's some Australian, owned businesses where it's really expensive just to get like a burger and chips or fries, as compared to here that you just get it for like $1.50 or something like that, $3. And over there is, it's a lot of things is, it's more expensive because it's like it's imported from other countries, and so what we would get cheap over here, it would be a bit more expensive over there. And contrary to popular belief, there's actually, in the city, there's skyscrapers, not like a lot of them, but like, big buildings, tall buildings. There's actually a shopping mall out there. Just like how goes to show how the country has advanced, economically over the past, few years, over the past decade. But, the weather really, it's not like it snows over there or anything, but it's really only two seasons. It's either dry season or it's rainy season. It's either the sun is up or it's raining, and it's never really cold. I don't think my entire mission that I had to use a sweater. I like first time I came back, I wore a hoodie because it was cold over here in the house when I first came back. It was my first time in 2 years I wore a hoodie, or yeah, for that I actually needed to. But yeah, the weather it's really nice, to be honest. For shopping, people just, there's markets everywhere. I forgot to say that. There's markets everywhere. Like people have their own little, we would see over here little kids doing lemonade stands. People, like every single corner, you would see people selling, it can go from candies to beetle nut Y, or drinks or popcorn, or people would have their own little grills outside and they would sell that. They would be grilling, steaks or lamb flaps, sweet potato, or cow, anything. And those would be cheap, and that's how usually we would people, missionaries, we would eat fast. It's just like $1, a kina or 2 kina, and just eat fast, something fast, or drink something. And then other people would go to these big markets where it looks comparable to like a flea market, if you know what that is. It's like from back here. So like over there, you would see things from, little, car chargers, or, people selling clothes or rugby jerseys or shoes or slippers, anything, food, coconut oil, necklaces. I actually got this from one of those places. Just anything, basically anything for the people to make their own living. People, they find anything and everything to make a living, to provide for themselves.